go live on YouTube, and we're going to get started. Hey all, and welcome to another fantastic episode of SegaSonic Radio. I am your host, as always, GX, aka Chris, aka The Spin Dash, aka whatever you want to call me, and I am, like many of my colleagues over at Sonic Stadium, a writer for Sonic Stadium. In fact, all of my colleagues, by definition, are colleagues because we're all over on sonicstadium.org. You can check over there for all great Sonic coverage and nonsense like that. Hey, you want a news story about keyboards? We just put up a new story about keyboards. It's cool. There's a Sonic keyboard. You can go check it out if you want. It's weird. At any rate, this, like many weeks, is determined by our playlist, our musical playlist, is determined by theme and also by you, the listener. Every week we give you guys some sort of theme and ask you guys to submit music over on Twitter or by the Discord, and we put it together in a playlist, mix together some other music, and then come at you with a show about Sonic. And this week is Space! That's right, Space! Some sort of final frontier or something. We put together a nice little playlist for you tonight, and we have some requests coming over. Digital Dimension itself was a request by Hunter the Hawk. And with that said, I think it's time for some Sonic Adventure 2. We're going to kick it off with Trespasser, the theme of Lost Colony, requested by the Virtual Ollie 64, and Space Trip Steps, the theme of Meteor Herd, requested by Dr. Hunk. Let's take a listen, and I will see you guys on the other side.
straight. Any criminal crime don't pay. Seeing the crazy look, Eggman's fake. Don't let it hit you more. 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 Don't let
Hey, that was Trespasser for Lost Colony, requested by Virtual Ollie 64 and Meteor Herd for Space Trip Steps. The other way around, whatever. Requested by Dr. Honk. I got a couple more requests coming at you tonight. I've also got this continuously running Sonic Adventure 2 video, which I think can stand to stop. We're just going to jump into some classic Sonic, especially some classic Sonic special stage, or final stages, close to final stages, ending stages, all sorts of ends to games. We're kicking it off with Sonic the Hedgehog 2's final boss fight against the ever-famous Eggman robot, followed by Sonic 3's Launch Base Zone, Act 1, the original version from the Genesis cartridge. Hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you guys on the other... Oh, right, yeah. Final boss, requested by Flames of 24, and Launch Base Zone, requested by my good friend, Evil Dr. Reef. See you guys on the other side. Hey, that was Final Boss from Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Launch Space Zone Act 1 from Sonic 3. Hi, thank you for everyone who's sticking with me tonight on a truly, we'll say bizarre day for me. It's been, best way I could describe it, it's been a meetings nightmare for the type of work that I do this week. At once every couple of times a year, well, no, every couple of times a year, I have a week that's like, oh, meetings all of the time. What if we just have them all of the time? And then we have them all of the time. It's very stressful, and it makes for a very long week. So it makes me happy to be able to jump back in, play some great songs for you guys. Great songs like The Core from Sonic Rush Zero Gravity, the theme song for Mobius Strip and Astro Babylon. This one was requested by Maxi. And Space Queens, the extended version, on the Sonic Extreme conceptual album. I guess it's worth mentioning that because Sonic Extreme never actually fully released, one of the more infinite things associated with it that eventually did make it out was this conceptual album that the developers kind of used to try to get a feel for the tone of the game or different aspects or moments of the game. And it's a fairly long album of sort of conceptual music, but I mean, considering that we never really got to play the final realized version of Sonic Extreme, I was like, well, this is the taste of what we could have had, we'll say, beyond the many attempts to sort of realize it from the fan community. So here's the core. Oh, and Space Queens, as recommended by Mr. Speed. Let's go ahead, listen to these two, and then I'll see you guys on the other side. Hey, that was the core from Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, followed up by Space Queens from the Sonic Extreme conceptual album. Nice requests over there. Got a couple more tonight before we jump into some of our, songs that I've selected, we'll say. Yeah, but I've been jeez, I might as well just go ahead and cue this next song up next. But I've been playing Sonic Forces for the other stream that I run as of late, almost every Sonic. It just gives me a good chance to play some Sonic games that I either haven't played in a very long time or typically do not play. And it was an interesting experience going back to that game. I hadn't played it between its launch and that evening last week, so there was a bit of a gap. But it's a game that gets a lot of hate, and I can sort of understand why. Although, like, it's the kind of game where it's like, this is not good. And the ways that it's not good typically have to do primarily with, like, its level design and issues with its level design, and just places where it's sometimes simple and places where it's just a little bit too leading. But it's not like, if I think of the 5 worst Sonic games I have ever played, it would not even make the top 5. I don't know if it'd even make the top 10, or bottom 10 worst Sonic games, whatever you want to call it. It has some interesting choices. It has a very odd tone and a very odd emphasis on the style of story that it is trying to tell. I kind of, perhaps an unpopular opinion, I kind of liked the period from about 2006 through, I'm gonna say, like, 2014, whenever it felt like Sonic as a franchise just wasn't taking itself as deathly serious as it was from, like, the Dreamcast era, or then jumping over to Sonic Forces. I'm not saying that the writing was always good, but I would say I liked the tone that those games had, and it felt like dumb Saturday morning cartoon in the way that I enjoy dumb Saturday morning cartoons. Anyhow, I picked a couple songs for us to kick off next, and one of them is from Sonic Forces. If I remember correctly, this takes place on the Death Egg itself. It's called Egg Gate. I hope I'm correct about that. Then we're jumping over to Sonic Colors, the Wii version, with Terminal Velocity Act 1, which I was shocked. We had no requests for Sonic Colors music, despite the fact that Sonic Colors is the game most famously taking place in space. So sorry, community. You made a mistake. Let's check out Egg Gate and Terminal Velocity Act 1. See you guys on the other side. And that was Egg Gate from Sonic Forces and Terminal Velocity Act 1 from Sonic Colors, the original version. We don't have a lot of more requests tonight, but we are going to wrap up one more request before we get into a little bit more spacey-themed music. Well, I mean, this is fairly spacey. Requested by fellow writer on the site, Knuckles87. We've got Never Let Go, the theme of Death Egg's Eye in Sonic the Fighter. Sonic the Fighter's odd game. Very odd game. It's fairly competent as a fighter. But it's kind of lighthearted, silly. The characters, it takes the sort of Virtua Fighter, heavily polygonal format, and then just has a lot of fun with deforming the characters and making them fly and giving them very exaggerated movesets. And ultimately, hey, there's 8 emeralds. You have to go collect all 8 emeralds, and then you get to go to space to fight Dr. Eggman. It's also the introduction of Bean and Bark, who would go on to be in several AM2 games going forward, from like Fighting Viper, not Fighting Vipers, Fighters Megamix, to guest starring in Virtua Soccer, Virtua Football, one of those two. They got around. So let's get around to Never Let Go, and I'll see you guys on the other side with a new remix. Hey, that was Never Let Go from Sonic the Fighters, and we've got our remix for tonight coming up now. And going through some of my OC Remix folder, trying to pick out what makes sense. Like, the one that stuck out for me for tonight's theme was the one that just had outer space in its name. So very, very famously, many Sonic games take place, you know, sort of in outer space as its final set of stages. Sonic 2 famously did. Sonic and Knuckles several of the Sonic Advance games, Sonic Adventure 2 very thoroughly. Sonic Adventure 2 has a ton of sections that are just out in space. But this one is a remix of specifically a final boss of Sonic and Knuckles. Also the final boss of Sonic 3 as well, but, same difference. This is the boss of either the final boss of Sonic 3, also known as Big Arms, or Doomsday Zone in Sonic and Knuckles. This remix is, once again, as most of our remixes are, from ocremix.org. This one is by Relic, and it is the Outer Space Machine remix of Final Boss. Hope you enjoy. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, that was Outer Space Machine, a remix by Relic over on ocremix.org. You can find this and many other remixes over at ocremix.org. Hope you enjoy. So I have a lot of options for whenever I wanted to pick out some non-Sonic space-themed music for tonight. Like, my immediate impulse, as always, is, oh, space music. If I get to pick some non-Sonic music that's vaguely Sega-related, well, I'm probably gonna go to Space Harrier. And I had to make a concentrated effort not to go to Space Harrier tonight. Obviously, we've already listened to some Space Channel 5. There's plenty of Sega shooters. Like, we got to get some Zaxxon all up in here at some point. One of these weeks has got to be the Zaxxon week. But no, I chose we'll say, unusual space-themed Sega game tonight. I went with Choo Choo Rocket, and there's not a whole lot of music to be had in Choo Choo Rocket, but there is some, and I picked two of the more iconic tracks in Choo Choo Rocket, and that is the opening and the closing. So yeah, let's take a listen. This is Choo Choo Rocket title screen, followed by Choo Choo Rocket credits. Hope you enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hey, that was the song coming up. I need to turn off that feature. Hey, that was Choo Choo Rocket title screen and Choo Choo Rocket credits. Well, Choo Choo Rocket. That's it. I said the name like 3 times. I've probably said it like... I probably said Chew like 6 times or something. You suggested Dark Side at some point. Okay, non-Sega. That one was Sega, but it was just non-Sonic. It was just non-Sonic Knuckles. Yeah. We're just trucking along tonight, just as we move through all of that space. And like I said, I was a bit disappointed that of all the recommendations that I got, they were very kind of tightly compacted, and nobody selected Sonic Colors. Nobody. I had to go out and choose some Sonic Colors myself, and that is exactly what I did. I picked a duo of Sonic Colors music. First one is Starlight Carnival, Act 3. A stage where you run through mechanical representations of constellations, followed by Planet Wisp Act 2 from Sonic Generations. Also Starlight Carnival, the ultimate version. Let's enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hi, I was on mute the entire time. I think it's time for some news. So, probably the biggest news going on this week is absolutely San Diego Comic Con and the announcements coming out of that. Aside from some toys, Jack Pacific went ahead and announced several new toys, from very, very frightening masks to costumes, a return of the Eggmobile set that was originally shown at the Sonic Central presentation. I can't even remember what it's called anymore. I keep wanting to call it Sonic Central. I think it's called Sonic Central. I really hope it's called Sonic Central. But the most significant thing at the moment is the Flying Battery Zone playset. Following the line of some of the other Sonic Mania-styled playsets from Jack Pacific, most notably things like the various enemies accessory kit, and also Studiopolis Zone. They also premiered, well, they did not premiere, but they re-revealed several figurines, including a toe-tapping solar-powered Sonic and a modern Sonic collectible statue, collectible figurine posable in the same way that classic Sonic was revealed as one on a Studiopolis base, and modern Sonic is on Space Resort something. I don't remember what it's called. In Sonic Colors, Tropical Resort. No, none of those. None of those are the correct word. Why aren't I coming up with the correct word? That level. The level what first is in Sonic that. They also introduced several movie figurines, some of their 4-inch line, and a skateboarding Sonic, which is also very Sonic Generations themed. Also, over in San Diego Comic-Con land, I am sorry, I am deeply unprepared tonight. We got our first taste of the next IDW miniseries, which is Scrapnik Island, from a writer new to the franchise, Daniel Barnes. This will be his first big writing thing with the comic, although he has also done work for the upcoming 2022 annual. But some interesting additions to the cast in this arc are none other than SegaSonic from the Sonic Advance series, as well as a new E-series robot. They revealed several screenshots and character art, and also revealed that there's going to be a Tails 20th anniversary special specifically featuring classic Tails enemies from Tails Sky Patrol, Wendy Witchcart, and the other bosses in that game. We are getting a Sonic Origins patch. We know that there have been a number of technical issues that have sort of sullied the vision of Sonic, or basically how people have looked at Sonic Colors in the fan base. Didn't I say Mechanicals? Not sure. Whatever. Yeah. I didn't experience a whole lot. I understand that there were some people experienced more than others. For some people, it just did not run. For me, like, I got the Switch version, and I got the PC version, which I played almost exclusively on Steam Deck. I had a weird save issue that I lost a tiny bit of progress, but not a significant amount. Did I say SegaSonic? Mechanicals. I meant to say Mechanicals. But yeah, it's good to know that they are at least taking a look at some of these and seeing if they can resolve some issues. I kind of get the sense that the stuff that we might be experiencing might just be the way that Sega attempted to translate or, port these fully developed games over to other platforms that weren't necessarily designed to run them, but, were made to run them in some way or another. It's a little bit more surprising in the realm of, like, you figure, Chow, Tails is 1992 for Sonic 2, and it's now 2022, so that's 30 years. That's 30 years. That's the main news. A couple other choice tidbits. We know that Hardlight is starting to staff up for some form of new Sonic mobile game. We don't know what yet. We have a sense that it's going to be narrative driven. It's hard to say what they would look for beyond that. Like, Hardlight's not particularly well known for their story writing in Sonic games. The Sonic games that have had the most amount of story have been things like Sonic Runners, and even then, a lot of the story in that is pretty insufferable. It just feels like story for the sake of story. Beyond that, hey, I mentioned at the top of the show, keyboards! High Ground revealed that they are working on a line of keyboards to release next month. Keyboards, keyboard accessories. There's something innate to me as a person, to my aesthetic sensibilities, that I really like the aesthetic of pixel art printed, like full pixel art, not like a pixel art sprite, but like full pixel art scenes printed physically on something. I have a little satchel that has Super Mario Brothers level 1-1. Basically, it's designed to be a Switch carrying case, and I love it dearly. I love the aesthetics of the Jonathan Ying Sonic the Hedgehog dice game, even though I don't think the dice game itself is particularly great. I love the aesthetics of this. It's just Green Hill sprite art printed on cards. And looking at this on a keyboard, it looks pretty neat. Like, visually, it's very interesting, it's very colorful, and I just like the style of it. I don't know if I would get this myself. I would be more likely to get the Green Hill Zone than the Sonic and Shadow design. That doesn't do a whole lot for me, especially without the numbers on top. But they also have a Dreamcast design for those who are so inclined. That's the major news for this last 2 weeks. And with that, I think it's a good time to start moving towards the end of the episode. I've picked out 2 GBA space-themed hits for us. We're going to start off with Egg Utopia, Act 1 from Sonic Advance 2. Follow that up with Death Egg from Sonic Battle. Let's take a listen. I'll see you on the other side. that was Egg Utopia Act 1 and Death Egg from Sonic Battle. Also, Egg Utopia was sung from Sonic Advance 2. Hey, I wanted to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I apologize for the late start, but, you know, sometimes it's how it is. I'm glad to actually have an episode out tonight, and I'm glad that you guys were able to join along with me. As always, if you want to send requests into the show, just make sure to follow us on Twitter or join our Discord, and we'll let you know the day of, usually around noon, what that day's theme is, and you can send in your requests to go with that theme. Twitter is @SonicStadium, and our Discord, just, head over to sonicstadium.org, and we have a link to our Discord on there. As always, SegaSonic Radio is part of sonicstadium.org. You can always head over to sonicstadium.org to check out the forums, to check out our content, our articles, our... not many links to our videos yet, but, we're working on it. We're slowly working on it. And, of course, coming up on Sunday, we have a new Almost Every Sonic over on Twitch and YouTube, where I attempt to play every Sonic game and ultimately fail. I have no clue what I'm playing yet. This is going to be flying by the seat of my pants and decisions. It might wind up being another Picross week. There's a decent chance it might wind up being another Picross week, which I would love, but the internet probably would not love. But I would love it. So do I care more about you guys, or do I care about my own mental well-being? That's a big toss-up. We're going to close tonight on an official remix over on an album that I sincerely enjoy. That is just it's just called Sonic the Hedgehog Remix, and it's a series of remix songs from Sonic CD, the Japanese soundtrack of it. And some of them are vocal tracks, some of them are not. This one's just instrumental. This one's pretty chill, and it's pretty relaxed, and I think it's a good way for us to start our weekend. So let's go ahead and check out Miracle Blue, Little Planet, from Sonic the Hedgehog Remix. One more thing before I head out for the night. Want to send a great big thank you to all the sprite rippers and sprite artists who helped basically provide the assets for our layout here. Certainly, big thank you to them. And one more time, thank you to you guys. With that, we are up, over, and gone. Peace out, everyone. Good night, all. We out. Peace.